Hey everyone, welcome back to Bodybuilding Nation. The finals of the 2025 Legion Sports Festival have just wrapped up, and the results played out mostly as expected, with a few interesting surprises after pre-judging. This competition has been one of the most anticipated events in the early 2025 bodybuilding calendar, attracting some serious talent and setting the stage for what we can expect heading toward the Olympia season. Let's break down the official placings. Tonio Burton claimed the top spot with a truly commanding performance. Patrick Moore secured second place with what many are calling his best package to date. Bruno Santos landed in third, showing tremendous improvements from his last outing. Florian Pawson got fourth with his characteristically balanced physique, and Colossus Ken Kennedy rounded out the top five with a showing that many fans believe deserved even higher placement. I want to first highlight Colossus Ken because one of the biggest surprises at pre-judging was not seeing him in that first call-out. Despite this initial oversight, he managed to crack the top five, pushing Blessing Awodibu out of the money positions. When you compare Ken to Blessing in that four-man call-out, it becomes crystal clear why Ken deserved to be higher in the rankings. The judges eventually recognized what many in the audience saw immediately. Ken's overall package was simply more complete and balanced than Blessing's. The pre-judging call-outs often give us a preview of the final placements, but in this case, there was a significant adjustment that needed to be made. Ken's exclusion from the first round of comparisons was puzzling to many spectators, especially considering the obvious strengths he brought to the stage. His eventual placement in the top five represents a correction that most hardcore fans would agree was absolutely necessary. Looking at them side by side, Ken only loses to Blessing in possibly the back poses, where Blessing's upper body development is undeniably impressive. We're talking about some of the most dramatic width and thickness in the division. However, Blessing's lower body was practically non-existent during finals, with conditioning issues becoming increasingly apparent as the show progressed. While Blessing does bring an incredible upper body to the stage, with those signature round delts and sweeping lats, his lower half simply doesn't match that development. The imbalance is jarring when you see him in full-body poses, creating a visual disconnect that's impossible for judges to ignore. This disparity was evident in his pre-show photos, which indicated his legs hadn't improved enough to be competitive at this level. Even casual observers could spot the issue in those promotional images. The upper body looked Olympia-worthy, while the legs appeared to belong to someone in a completely different weight class. Standing next to Ken highlighted this weakness dramatically. Ken's lower body completely overshadowed Blessing's, and frankly, he outmuscled everyone in the lineup when it came to leg development. The separation, density, and overall size of Ken's quadriceps and hamstrings were simply on another level. The leg battle wasn't even close. Ken's sweep from the front, hamstring detail from the back, and overall lower body development made Blessing's weaknesses impossible to ignore. Ken's overall package is impressive beyond just his legs. He's a massive competitor with tremendous fullness throughout his physique, and I was genuinely surprised he wasn't called out earlier in pre-judging. His chest thickness, shoulder width, and arm development combine with those stellar legs to create a formidable total package that deserved first call-out recognition. From a judging perspective, you have to wonder what they were seeing initially that placed Blessing ahead. Were they giving too much weight to upper body development? Were they hoping Blessing's conditioning would tighten up by finals? Whatever the reasoning, the final placements reflected what most observers could see. Ken brought the more complete physique to the stage. Had Ken been in that first call-out, there's a solid argument he could have placed even higher than fifth. Some analysts watching the show suggested he could have challenged for as high as third place had he received proper comparison opportunities throughout the show. It was satisfying to see him make the top five and edge out someone who initially received preferential treatment in pre-judging. The side-by-side comparison with Blessing left no doubt that Ken deserved the higher placement. This is why these comparison rounds are so crucial in bodybuilding. When athletes stand shoulder to shoulder, the differences become unmistakable. I'd even suggest that Ken's presentation and posing added to his appeal. His transitions were fluid, he held poses with confidence and stability, and he knew exactly how to highlight his strengths while minimizing any weaknesses. In contrast, Blessing seemed to rush through certain poses, perhaps knowing they wouldn't showcase him favorably. The art of presentation remains a crucial but often underappreciated aspect of competitive bodybuilding. Now let's discuss the top three. The judges did a separate call-out with just Bruno and Patrick, which confirmed what we suspected during pre-judging. Tonio was the clear winner, with the real battle happening for second place between Patrick and Bruno. This specific call-out technique is something we don't see often in pro shows. Typically, the judges keep the presumptive winner in the mix throughout all comparisons. The fact that they isolated Patrick and Bruno for dedicated comparisons speaks volumes about how decisively Tonio had separated himself from the pack. The battle for second was legitimately close. Bruno brought tremendous size and density to the stage, with particularly impressive back development and arm thickness. His improvements since last season have been remarkable, especially in his chest fullness and shoulder development. Patrick, meanwhile, offered a more aesthetic package with better lines, more dramatic transitions between muscle groups, and superior conditioning. The judges ultimately rewarded Patrick's sharpness and proportions over Bruno's raw mass, which aligns with the direction bodybuilding judging has been trending over the past few seasons. Patrick Moore's performance was perhaps the most compelling storyline of this show, aside from Tonio's victory. If you saw Patrick at the Cali Pro and compared it to how he looked here, this represents one of the most remarkable one-week transformations between shows in recent memory. The difference was nothing short of astonishing. His skin tightness, muscle separation, and overall presentation underwent a complete metamorphosis. This kind of rapid improvement deserves deeper analysis because it demonstrates just how dramatically a physique can change in a short time frame with the right approach. The Cali Pro version of Patrick looked smooth, slightly watery, and frankly underwhelming compared to what we know he's capable of bringing. His 10th place finish there was both disappointing and uncharacteristic for an athlete of his caliber. Fast forward just 1 week to Legion, and we saw an entirely different competitor, sharp, detailed, with skin that appeared to be shrink-wrapped over dense muscle tissue. The transformation was so dramatic that some commentators questioned whether it was even the same athlete. Here's something fascinating. Patrick shared that between the Cali Pro and Legion Sports Festival, approximately 6 to 7 days, he completed an astonishing 32 training sessions. That's nearly 5 sessions per day. The sheer volume of work is mind-boggling. We're talking about multiple daily sessions targeting different body parts, likely incorporating a mix of heavy compound movements, isolation work, and possibly some pump-focused higher rep training to maximize blood flow and nutrient delivery to the muscles. Let's break down what 32 sessions in a week might actually look like. Perhaps morning cardio, followed by a mid-morning weight session focusing on a primary body part, an afternoon session hitting a secondary muscle group, evening posing practice, and potentially even a night session with additional cardio or lagging body parts. The physical and mental discipline required for this approach is extraordinary. Most professional bodybuilders would consider half this volume to be excessive, particularly so close to a competition. He also mentioned being 15 pounds lighter for Legion compared to Cali. That's an average water and carbohydrate manipulation that resulted in over 2 pounds of weight loss per day. The body's ability to shed that much fluid while maintaining muscle fullness is a testament to Patrick's metabolic efficiency and his coach's understanding of his unique physiology. This kind of weight fluctuation would leave most competitors looking flat and depleted. But Patrick somehow managed to appear fuller and more detailed despite the significant weight drop. This is a perfect example of how hard work pays dividends in professional bodybuilding. Patrick refused to accept a 10th place finish at a smaller show like Cali as his competitive ceiling. In a sport where many athletes might rationalize a poor showing with excuses about judging bias or competition depth, Patrick instead looked inward and identified what he needed to change. That disappointing placement lit a fire under him, pushing him to an extraordinary level of dedication heading into Legion. His efforts clearly paid off with this second-place finish. The mental fortitude required here cannot be overstated. Most competitors would be physically and emotionally drained after a disappointing showing, possibly even withdrawing from the next competition to regroup. Patrick did the opposite. He doubled down on his commitment, likely sacrificing sleep, recovery, and comfort in pursuit of redemption. This approach isn't sustainable long-term, but as a short-term strategy to salvage a competition season, it proved remarkably effective. What makes this even more impressive is the quality of this lineup. This wasn't a weak field where second place came easily. He had to beat out established pros with strong track records. His conditioning improvements were so dramatic that they overcame any advantages others might have had in terms of structure or muscle mass. Sometimes in bodybuilding, conditioning truly is the great equalizer. I believe Patrick plans to continue competing until he wins a show to qualify for this year's Olympia. So this won't be the last time we see him on stage in 2025. If he maintains this trajectory of improvement, his next showing could potentially earn him that coveted qualification. Competitions like the Tampa Pro and Texas Pro are coming up in the calendar, and either could be perfect opportunities for Patrick to secure his spot on the Olympia stage. With each show, Patrick seems to be refining his approach to contest prep. The lessons learned from both Cali, what not to do, and Legion, what works well, will inform his strategy moving forward. His body responds quickly to changes in training and nutrition, which gives him a significant advantage over competitors who require longer lead times to make adjustments. If he can enter his next competition with the condition he brought to Legion, while potentially adding even more refinement, he'll be very difficult to beat. What's most inspiring about Patrick's story is his refusal to give up or accept being a second call-out competitor. This mental resilience is what separates champions from the rest of the field. 32 training sessions between shows to achieve this transformation is both impressive and motivational. It shows the extraordinary lengths to which elite bodybuilders will go to realize their competitive potential. This kind of dedication reminds us that bodybuilding at the highest level is as much about psychological fortitude as it is about physical development. These are the storylines that make bodybuilding truly exciting, when someone who was counted out comes back stronger than ever. The narrative arc of defeat, determination, and redemption resonates far beyond the stage and speaks to something universal about the human spirit. We see ourselves in Patrick's journey, the refusal to be defined by our setbacks and the drive to transform disappointment into motivation. The bodybuilding community thrives on these comeback stories. They provide context and emotional weight to what might otherwise be just another competition. When we understand the journey behind the physique, the obstacles overcome, the sacrifices made, it deepens our appreciation for what we're witnessing on stage. Patrick's one-week transformation has already become the talk of bodybuilding forums and social media, inspiring countless athletes facing their own competitive challenges. While Tonio was undoubtedly the clear winner, with neither Patrick nor Bruno truly threatening his first-place position, securing second place was a significant victory for Patrick in its own right. He defeated many competitors who had placed ahead of him just a week earlier at Cali, validating that his intensive approach worked. The psychological boost from this validation cannot be overstated. Confidence is a crucial ingredient in competitive success, and Patrick now has tangible proof that he belongs among the elite. As for Tonio Burton, what more can be said? He appeared significantly larger than his last stage appearance, having added approximately 15 pounds of quality mass since we saw him compete last year. His physique displays remarkable balance with an impressive 3D look that jumps out at you from every angle. The muscle bellies have that round, full appearance that gives his physique a sculpted quality rather than just looking big. His dramatic improvements in back thickness and arm development were particularly noticeable in this outing. One of Tonio's greatest strengths is his ability to maintain structural aesthetics while adding size. Many competitors lose their lines and proportions as they push for more mass, but Tonio has managed to enhance his X-frame while increasing his overall muscle tissue. His waist has remained tight despite the added size, which accentuates his V-taper and creates that coveted illusion of being even bigger than his actual measurements would suggest. While he's not the largest competitor on stage in terms of sheer mass, his proportions, conditioning, and overall presentation are exceptional. Tonio brings a combination of size, shape, and detail that few competitors can match. His transitions between muscle groups are smooth and natural, avoiding the blocky appearance that sometimes plagues mass monsters. From the front, his chest-to-waist ratio creates a dramatic visual impact, while his side poses showcase excellent depth through the chest and shoulders. The key to Tonio's improvement was adding size in all the right places while maintaining proper balance. The additional muscle enhanced his proportions rather than detracting from them, a challenging feat that many bodybuilders struggle to achieve. His delts have more cap, his chest shows better upper fullness, and his back displays improved thickness without sacrificing width. These targeted improvements suggest a methodical approach to his off-season training, focusing on specific areas rather than just trying to get bigger overall. Tonio's conditioning was also spot on, detailed enough to showcase his muscularity, but not so extreme that he appeared depleted. This is the sweet spot that judges are increasingly rewarding in modern bodybuilding: the ability to present extreme muscularity while maintaining a healthy, vibrant appearance. His skin quality, muscle fullness, and overall presentation indicate excellent contest prep management, likely reflecting improvements in his nutrition and supplementation protocols since last season. Now, with his Olympia qualification secured, the question becomes whether he can improve upon his previous best Olympia placing of 8th. Based on what we've seen, there's every reason to believe he can push into the top 6 or even higher. The improvements he's made are exactly what the judges look for at the Olympia level: more tissue on an already aesthetic frame, with proportions and conditioning that continue to improve year over year. What do you think? Could this new and improved version of Tonio crack the top 6 at the Olympia this year? When we consider the current Olympia landscape, with several veterans potentially past their prime and younger talent still developing, there's a window of opportunity for someone like Tonio who brings both aesthetic appeal and sufficient size to stand out on that elevated stage. It's worth noting how dominant his victory was here. Something we rarely see is judges sending the first-place competitor back in line and comparing the remaining athletes for second and third. That's exactly what happened with Tonio, demonstrating just how decisively he won. When judges make this move, it's essentially declaring this competitor is in a class by himself. This type of dominance is uncommon in any year, and we hadn't seen it yet in 2025 until now. The implications for Tonio's Olympia prospects are significant. If he can bring this same package, or an improved version, to the Olympia stage, he'll be making a serious statement. The question will be whether he can stand next to the absolute elite of the division, the Samson Dowders and Andrew Jacks of the world, and still maintain his visual impact. At the Legion Sports Festival, he towered over the competition both literally and figuratively, but the Olympia represents an entirely different level of challenge. Let's also address Blessing Awodibu's performance, as his comeback was a major talking point leading into this show. The anticipation surrounding Blessing's return was immense. Social media was buzzing with speculation about how improved he might be after his extended absence from competition. Blessing took significantly more time off than Tonio, presumably to address his physique weaknesses, particularly his lower body development. Unfortunately, this might have been one of his least impressive showings to date, falling well short of the expectations set by his own promotional content. Blessing's situation is particularly perplexing because his social media presence had suggested significant improvements. The gym footage, the training highlights, the progress updates all indicated that we were about to see a transformed version of the boogeyman. Yet what we witnessed on stage was, in many ways, a regression rather than progression. This disconnect between social media presentation and stage reality is becoming an increasingly common phenomenon in professional bodybuilding, where carefully curated and edited content can create unrealistic expectations. In the call-out comparing him with Ken for those lower placings, Blessing's lower body issues were glaringly obvious. Despite taking nearly 2 years away from competition to improve, his legs showed minimal progress and possibly even regression in certain aspects. His quad sweep appeared diminished, hamstring development was lacking, and overall lower body mass was insufficient to balance his impressive upper body. For someone who specifically identified leg development as a priority during his time away, the lack of visible improvement was shocking. The contrast was jarring. Turning to his back poses, Blessing showed tremendous width in his lat spread and impressive back development, but his glutes and hamstrings were practically invisible. After such an extended break focused specifically on improvement, coming back to not even place in the top 5 at his comeback show raises serious questions about his future direction in the sport. For an athlete with Blessing's profile and following, failing to make the top 5 at a show of this caliber represents a significant setback. The bodybuilding community is notoriously unforgiving when it comes to unfulfilled potential, and the clock is ticking on Blessing's window to establish himself as a legitimate contender at the highest levels. From a career perspective, this result places Blessing at a crossroads. His marketability has always exceeded his competitive achievements, His personality, social media presence, and entertaining approach to the sport have made him a fan favorite despite mixed competitive results. But at some point, results matter, especially for someone who positions himself as a future champion. The disconnect between his confident persona and his competitive placings grows more pronounced with each underwhelming showing. Will Blessing take another extended break from competition? The previous hiatus didn't yield the necessary improvements despite presumably working with top-tier coaches and having access to elite training facilities. Another extended absence without fundamental changes to his approach would likely produce similar disappointing results. Alternatively, would competing more frequently benefit him by providing regular feedback and competitive experience? Perhaps more stage time would help him refine his peak week protocols and presentation skills. What are your thoughts on these results? Did the judges get it right? Could Ken have placed even higher? Is Tonio Burton ready to make a serious impact at the Olympia? Drop your opinions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Bodybuilding Nation for more competition coverage. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.